So when I was recently with an engaged couple whose marriage will be later this fall here at St. Ambrose, and I asked them the question, why do you want to get married? You know? And some of the things they both said in answer to that question might be things you expect, you know, family, she's my best friend, but they both expressed in a very personal way and kind of different but same that they wanted to grow, and they wanted to grow together. Like they actually could name that. Like, we don't want to enter into something that's just kind of static. We want to grow. And so then I asked the question, well, based on what you know of each other at this point, what do you think will be one of the obstacles that you have to work on, each of you, that could get in the way of that growth? And their honesty blessed me, you know. She said, well, you see, we went on this marriage retreat a couple months ago, and of the few things I took away, she said, my tendency, my habit, is when I'm going through something, I go to my mother first. And I know I'm going to have to learn to go to him. And then he said, and I have to learn to be a better listener. And I thought, well, there it is, you know? There it is. It seems to me that one of the things that makes married life such an adventure, most positive way, huh? But even for the best of marriages, why there's always some element of work, is because we bring in to that relationship all sorts of other relationships and habits from those relationships. Certainly the family we grew up in, how we do things without even thinking about them, the friendships. But I think by analogy, we could say we bring in a lot of relationships into this relationship. Our relationship with food, how we go about that. Our relationship with technology. Our relationship with time. I can't tell you how many humorous, but it's not always humorous, couples where it's like, she's always on time, and he's 3 minutes late, which is on time for him. And they got to navigate that. And if sociological data could be believed, that one of the greatest strains on that paramount relationship of marriage is the relationship with money, with wealth, our habits, how we go about it. And then what we have to do is we have to harmonize all those things in this relationship. So, an adventure, an ongoing work. Now, what I want to propose to you today is that if I asked each of you, what do you want? What do you desire for your relationship with God? Of the many things that might be different, because we're all at different places and seasons of life and different challenges and joys, I would imagine in some way we would all say, I desire that my relationship with God grow, that it deepen. And then we could say, well, what are your obstacles? Now, what I want to propose to you is today God's living word speaks to 3 of the most significant obstacles in our relationship with God. So it's challenging, but it's really good for us to hear and for each of us to be able to ponder and to reflect like, what are my relationship with these things that gets in my relationship with God? So let me just name them from each of the scriptures we heard. First, from Amos. Did you catch that? Amos is a hard-hitting prophet. He's very direct. And he's saying to the people, he's basically holding up to them their thoughts that they won't speak out loud. But he's like, here's what you're doing. You're basically saying, when will the Sabbath be over so that we can be about our business? When will God get out of the way so that we can do what we want to do? Especially in our relationship with time. Isn't that interesting that God actually has to command one of the 10 that you and I keep holy the Sabbath. That for one day of the week we stop. We stop. We don't live the rat race. We lay down our anxieties. The day needs to look different. And it's actually a life-giving command. Do you know if you put all the 10 commandments and all the words to them in a pie chart, 30% of the words are devoted to the third commandment. It not only just tells us to do it, but it gives the rationale. God rested. God made this day for you. And in another place it says, remember you were slaves in Egypt. And if you don't respect the Sabbath, one day of the week where you reorient your life towards God, you will feel like a beast of burden. You will wash up in fatigue. I'm reading a book right now that is, I think, very prophetic. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And this author talks about something called hurry sickness. And he gives like 10 sort of things. Do you ever read something where it feels like it's sinking your battleship, you know? It's like, oh man, check, check. So, what's our relationship with time? I will say it's counterintuitive. When you're running and life is full and there's a pace to it, the last thing you think you can afford to do is stop and lay it down. But to the degree that we don't respect the law, the spiritual law of the Sabbath, we will not be fully human. And we will not be in tune with God. We won't hear Him. We'll be numb. I've started in the last several months to actually turn my phone off. On your Sabbath is the Lord's Day. It's today. Mine is tomorrow. And I actually turn it off. And if I need my phone, because you know this is the danger. Everything's on it, right? Well, there's a silence mode, you know. I'm telling you, it's blessing me. It's requiring me to be disciplined, but I need it. I'm more human. Okay, secondly, from St. Paul's letter to Timothy, it's our relationship with those in authority. Have you ever thought of how that can get in the way? First of all, what does St. Paul say? He says, you know, for those in authority, pray for them. Intercede for them. And what should we hope for from those in authority? What do we really want? We want to live a tranquil life. So here's the extremes to avoid. On the one side, we are something like pacifists, indifferent, we don't care. We're pushovers. St. Paul's not saying that. But you know what's on the other end of the spectrum where it's so easy for us to live? Is simmering anger. It's not constructive. We just follow the drama of the politicians. And the next thing you know, our heart is revved up and we are not tranquil. We actually make a choice, whether you know it or not, to let that rob us of peace. The Lord says, do something constructive. To the degree that you have to know, well then no. To the degree that you don't, you don't. And you intercede. You pray. I'm telling you, I feel like, especially, it comes back to this gadget again with time. It's in my pocket right now. It's on vibrate. But with time, and even with this, the news cycle drama, it's right there at our fingertips. It's like an extra appendage. Are we controlling it, or is it controlling us? Okay, I'm going to say the last one, but what you might be experiencing about these relationships that we have to harmonize with our relationship with God that can become obstacles, is they're a bit counterintuitive. So to trust God, we just got to do it, and we will see the fruits. I can't slow down. I got too much going on. This is my only day to get things done. I mean, Father, our world's a mess. I mean, how am I supposed to stay tranquil? in the midst of leadership that we have or whatever. And then third, the Lord's very direct in the gospel. It's our relationship with money, with our wealth, with our things. And what does he say? You cannot serve both God and money. It's impossible. You can't do it. Do you know, for the chosen people, there was a practice that God held up to them, just like the Sabbath, rest. And it was something called tithing. That we are giving to God the first 10%. Again, you might be saying to me, we got a future. We got children, we got grandchildren. How am I supposed to know what the economy is going to do 3 years from now? And we keep kicking the can, but all the while we're holding on tight to the purse strings. And there's another area of our life where we are not trusting God, and it's an important one. Our wealth gives us the illusion that we're in control. And Jesus actually says, I just want you to be good stewards of it. I don't want you to be consumed about it. Think of a pie chart. How much of your anxieties goes towards money, things, either safeguarding them or wanting more? And if I might ask a question at this point, do you ever have enough? Is it ever enough? You say, I don't need more things. I don't need more wealth. I don't know. Maybe we do arrive there. But something tells me the human heart needs to be protected against this insatiable need for more. Brothers and sisters, I just want to say, sometimes it's hard. I have to preach to myself. I know where I'm struggling in these areas and obstacles. But I know they are not unimportant in our relationship with God. And we want to grow. And He wants us to grow. And He wants us to live in the freedom, the sanity of trusting the Creator. And it begins, it's kind of countercultural, it's kind of a revolution. I'm stopping today. I'm stopping. I'm going to lay down my burden, and I'm going to invite the Lord to show me how to be in all of life, Monday through Saturday, in a new way. And I want to begin to trust. If I'm only giving 3% of my wealth away, well, this year I'm going to go for 4. Next year I'm going to go for 5. I will say it's kind of wonderful. I do this in December, I just run the percentages and cut the checks. Do people still write checks? I do. And I get to send them to places that I want to support, like people who are doing great work for the kingdom. And it's so freeing because it's already predetermined that it's not mine. It's first 10%, it belongs to Him. So today, Lord, we help you. We ask for your help. We desire to trust you, speak truth into these areas of our life.